What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Bad Religion. We're going back to the Process of Belief album again. When I reacted to, what was it? I'm actually forgetting what I reacted to. Oh, right, Bored and Extremely Dangerous. Someone commented they wouldn't mind seeing a reaction to Epiphany. And it occurred to me, you know what, that would be a cool tune to react to. It's one that perhaps I remember a little bit less than a few others on this album, like Supersonic, like Can't Stop It. But I do enjoy the tune, and what I remember about it lyrically is I remember it's essentially a negation of the idea of having an epiphany, the idea that, you know, there's just going to be one idea or perspective or movement or group that once you find it, it's going to be perfect, and it's going to stay perfect in perpetuity, and it's never going to disappoint you. It's never going to seem to sort of be diluted or watered down or corrupted from what you originally knew. And it's like, no, it seems like the more you experience life, the more you understand sort of, you know, the exchange and diffusion of ideas, and the way people will graft onto certain aspects of ideas because it gives them emotional satisfaction and so on, that you realize that ultimately there's no perfect idea. There's no, like, human paradigm which has no flaws, shortcomings, or, you know, can never be exploited or, again, corrupted or distorted. So yeah, I think it's a song which gets at the idea that I don't know if it's Graffin writing it. It kind of has a Graffin feel to it. But yeah, this idea that as you age, you know, ideas that you really thought were, you know, perfectly applicable, or were, you know, we're going to fix everything if they could just be sort of spread and practiced and so on. You come to see is like, oh, but there is that problem with it, and oh, actually, you know what, some of the people driving that movement were doing so for selfish reasons, and so it's a song in a way about becoming jaded. It's a song that is a bit sort of like, maybe not pessimistic, but sort of, you know, throwing up one's hands in despair in terms of trying to find clarity, trying to adopt a reliable epistemological paradigm. It's like, okay, like, I support the scientific method if, you know, practiced diligently, and, you know, I think reason is a good arbiter for truth when it comes to epistemology, but at the end of the day, even, you know, reason, even things which in some respects, you know, are backed up by evidence and so on, over a long enough timeline they could change. And again, the human element in the way it connects to any particular idea or perspective or movement always allows for eccentricities, idiosyncrasies, and ultimately, you know, selfish exploitation and so on. So yeah, I think it's a song that gets at a bit of a cynicism in terms of, you know, can we really arrive at knowledge that is, you know, reliable over time, or is it more we're just kind of fumbling in the dark for something that, you know, seems right in the moment and can maybe give us like a hold, a purchase on life, but which ultimately, you know, we should not expect it to be some sort of epiphanal clarity that will then, you know, dispel the fog of all confusion and, you know, bring into like harmonious alignment all human relations. It's just, you know, again, I think it's a song that maybe you could put in line with The Answer or No Direction or Best for You. And that it gets at this idea that, you know, humans are trying to figure out life, and they're trying to figure out, you know, what the best ideas are, what the most correct ideas are. And, you know, the song takes a sort of pessimistic view that, you know, over time things seem less clear, like more complicated and opaque than perhaps they did when you were younger and idealistic and, you know, more willing to sort of roll with an epiphanal vision that suddenly appears before you. Wow, that looks like a great idea, that, you know, how could anything go wrong with that? And this song is saying, man, just give it time, and you'll see one way or another why it'll go wrong. So that's where I take the lyrics. Let me know if you have a different view. Once again, shout out to this album. I mentioned it before. It will always be very special for me because it's when Mr. Brett returned to the band, which I think is sort of a boon, you know, to the band. Not that it was, you know, not that it wasn't enjoyable when he wasn't there, but I just think that the Graffin-Gurewitz partnership is part of what makes Bad Religion so great. So yeah, let's get to it. This is Epiphany from their 2002 album, The Process of Belief by Bad Religion. Oof, that's hot. That low end resonates, like, it goes into the red. I apologize.
To trick the mind, what good is searching if nothing's there to find? We arrive at this place of no return, my brothers. All we do is come on our minds and less away. What's right is wrong, what's gone is gone, what's clear and pure is not so sure.
All promises become a lie, all corrupted.
Come forth, bear witness. See the prophet from your lost, beg for forgiveness. Only after you've done the cost. We arrive at this place of no return, my sisters. All you do is discover that our values rise to go on the show in the sea of the ones we could be.
I like the dissonant tension in that, like, section leading into the chorus.
What's right is wrong, what's gone is gone, what's clear and pure is not so sure. It can't do me. Our promises become a lie. All that's been right corrupts in time. If it's real for me, do I have to prove it to you?
I actually don't remember this part. Weird, like I wasn't thinking about it beforehand.
It's all so relative. Stop swearing you can turn on one's perspective.
That guitar.
What's right is wrong, what's gone is gone, what's clear and pure is not so sure. It can't do me. All promises become a lie. All that's been right corrupts in time.
The ever ubiquitous fade out ending. But yeah, it's cool. When I went to react to this, I was thinking more about the lyrics than the sonics. For some reason, like, I didn't remember that it kind of has that, like, you know, for lack of a better word, ballad form. It's not like really a ballad, but, you know, for a punk rock band that plays a lot of like high tempo, like hardcore punk rock, that one is more of in a slow song sort of ballad idiom, like sonically, which I didn't really remember. And I didn't remember that, I don't know if it's technically like a bridge, but it was like between like I think the end of the second verse, or maybe it followed the second articulation of the chorus before it went back into another version of the chorus, and that was a cool little moment that I didn't remember. And yeah, again, I think it does get to this sort of like, man, like, it's really hard to find your way epistemologically and to sort of, you know, separate the wheat from the chaff in terms of, you know, reliable information and perspective and so on. And again, over a long enough timeline, it seems like everything gets perverted, everything gets, you know, corrupted or like led in a direction that, you know, departs from the sort of sentiment or ethos in which it got started. So yeah, it feels like a bit of a sort of lament, like a sort of epistemological cynicism. But yeah, let me know what you think of the tune. Shout out to those of you who have been watching and commenting on the Bad Religion reactions. It means a lot to me. It's one of, you know, the bands that goes very far back for me. It's like I think the only two bands that I became obsessed with in the punk rock world before that were Propagandhi and Subhumans, because I discovered them very early on. But Bad Religion, like, to me, they're on that very elite level. So I enjoy that there's several of you who have sort of enjoyed talking about these tracks and the different albums and so on. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's another tune from Bad Religion or any other punk group that you know that I have. And again, you can go check there's a link on my page, and it shows like external links. And one of them is my collection on Discogs, and I have a whole folder for punk rock, and you could just go through it and see what I have. And there's bands that I have that I haven't reacted to yet. I was just flipping through some CDs earlier, and the Goldfinger, the first album from Goldfinger went by, and it's like, oh man, I hadn't thought about that one in a while. So yeah, there's some bands that I still got to get to and start reacting to. But let me know. Other than that, I will see you next time. Peace.